Enough with the searching glances, Dimitri. Say what you're going to say.
I was just thinking that I find it difficult to speak with you. Even now that we have the opportunity to exchange words peaceably. Too many have died for us to suddenly have meaningful heart-to-heart conversation.
Oh, that's not how I feel. Unless you mean you don't wish to speak with the tyrant you consider responsible for their deaths. In which case, let's just believe what we believe, accept that our paths have diverged, and see this through to the very end.
You're placing words in my mouth. Still, I suppose that does cut to the heart of the matter. I will not claim that all my choices were right, but I accept responsibility for them. I made them carefully and with full knowledge of the consequences.
And I'd like to think I can say the same. But this is unproductive. We need to get out of here.
Fair enough. But first, answer me this. Do you know what became of your mother and Selma?
Why would I?
Someone told me that you would know how she met her end. Although I suspect that was nothing more than the dying ravings of a madwoman.
It was. I haven't seen my mother since I was a child. It would have been right before she was exiled. You would know what happened better than I.
I suppose so. Regardless, thank you for answering. Now, shall we get back to finding our way out?
Please, we can't resolve anything so long as we're trapped in this...
That was quite the tremor.
Whatever this place is, I find myself liking it less by the moment.
Can you stand?
Yes, thank...
Perhaps we can put our differences aside, if only for the moment. Hostilities will do us no good here.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I can agree to that. You know, I just remembered something from back when I was but a child. I had fallen to the ground and was met with a kind hand reaching out to help me up. I took it without thinking, without even looking first to see who it was. I suppose that shows you how much I've grown. Dimitri, what is it?
I have a similar memory. One of helping a little girl who had fallen in the dirt.
Knowing you, such occurrences would have been commonplace in your youth. Don't try to imply we share a memory.
No, I rarely forget an important face. Often to my own woe, I might add.
Enough. Let us end this before we both make greater fools of ourselves. We need to escape. That's our only priority.
Edelgard,
What are you doing? You should know I won't hesitate to leave you behind.
Indeed. I'm coming, Elle.
I have to say, this isn't how I imagined Fodlan's three most powerful leaders would be coming together.
Indeed. I hesitate to even consider the look on Hubert's face right now.
I don't think anyone's too worried about me, though. Vanishing without a word is kind of what I do. So much for being a reliable leader.
Or perhaps it's the opposite, and your people think you reliable precisely because you always return. It must be nice having friends you can depend on to handle important matters in your absence.
And it must feel lousy to realize no one wants to do your job, Edelgard.
I'm glad to see your tongue remains as agile as ever. Let's try moving our feet instead, shall we?
Hey, I can do both if you want. It's definitely not an either-or kind of situation. So, Edelgard, say the four of us get out of here in one piece. What are you planning to do about Dimitri? Maybe we should join forces and take him on together.
You're such a bore sometimes, Claude. And is that a serious proposal?
Well, I suppose it would be easier for me if the kingdom stuck around. After all, I get the feeling that if we divide Fodlan between the Empire and the Alliance, I'll be the one holding the short end of that stick. Our goal is to deal with Rhea and the Central Church, not to unify Fodlan.
You never have been one to mince words, have you? Well then, allow me to match your honesty. It would be more convenient for me if the kingdom ceased to exist. The Central Church has a much closer relationship with Fargus than with the other regions. Even were we to capture the Archbishop and force her to dismantle the upper echelons of the Church, it wouldn't be enough. The roots of that organization run deep.
Hey, hold on. You're just looking to capture Rhea? You're not gonna, get rid of her?
Is it not enough to subdue a foe and remove them from power?
I'm just surprised. I would have expected you to be more thorough.
And here I thought you wanted to pursue a peaceful solution.
Hey, give me some credit. If I didn't like to rock the boat, Lester would have been swallowed up by the Empire ages ago. I have ambitions, Edelgard. Real ones. I won't go into details, but I'm definitely fighting to make them a reality.
All that, and you're not planning to enlighten me? Unreliable and stingy. I, for one, have no qualms with telling you my ambitions. I seek to destroy the irrational power structure that shackles Fodlan.
Just Fodlan, huh?
Come again?
Hey, don't get me wrong. That's a goal I can get behind. That's why we're working together. But I'd be grateful if my own ambitions can be fulfilled at the end of your path of conquest.
I'd like to believe that is possible. At least for now, we can work together to achieve a common goal. And perhaps someday our pact will become a more permanent one. I hope so, at any rate.
Same here. But before that, we need to find a way out of this place.
And what of the Archbishop's movements?
She has established herself in Camulus, a town south of Ferdiad, and shows no indication of leaving. The Knights of Ceres occasionally go to the front, but the Archbishop appears content to remain behind. A shame, really.
Well, we expected as much. It's unlikely that we'll have the opportunity to eliminate her without mounting a full-scale invasion of Blythed territory.
We should have surrounded Garrick Mach and torn the place apart when we had the chance, no matter the cost to us. We may have squandered our greatest chance by not doing so.
Hubert, that idea came from Lord Arundel. That is to say, Tallis. And it's an impractical idea, at that. One based on unreliable experimental assets that had never been tested in battle. Besides, after breaking ties with him and his allies, we lacked the military capability to carry out an operation on such a scale.
True on both counts, Your Majesty. We took such bold steps to excise those who slither in the dark from the Empire, knowing full well the price we'd pay. Though it meant allowing the Archbishop to escape our grasp, I would venture to say that we ultimately came out in a better position because of it.
Unquestionably so. I'm certain Talus and his ilk are dreaming up some villainy as we speak. But we're not beholden to them anymore. We are no longer complicit in their schemes.
I could not care less what I am or am not complicit in, Lady Edelgard. But I agree, you must not be. For your own sake and the sake of the Empire, it is vital that you remain unsullied and unencumbered.
When I proposed such drastic changes to our plan 2 years ago, I did so against your best counsel. And yet you made it work every step of the way. None of us would be where we are today if not for you, Hubert. I cannot thank you enough.
This is quite unlike you, Your Majesty. Are you feeling unwell? I assure you I feel ever appreciated. There is no need for you to speak such words aloud. Or perhaps this is meant to soften the blow of yet another drastic change of course?
Nothing like that, I assure you. I simply want you to know how much you are valued. This path I walk, I cannot walk it without you. I'm only able to press onward because I have you to open the way. There will always be a place for you by my side.
Are you certain there are no changes you wish to inform me of? I must insist that you hide nothing from me.
What? But I just said I'm not... Hubert, are you truly so incapable of accepting a simple word of thanks? Hubert, what do you make of the Ashen Demon?
Aside from having proven to be both impossibly powerful and a constant thorn in our side... Correction. Was a constant thorn in our side. I must admit the little terror has put in some fine work for the Empire recently.
We're fortunate to have gained so powerful an ally.
Why do you bring this up, Your Majesty? Is there something on your mind?
I'm not entirely sure myself. My apologies, Hubert. Pay me no mind. Like as not, I am overthinking the situation.
Surely you realize that telling me to pay this no mind only gives me greater cause for concern?
I didn't mean to worry you. I'm simply having trouble putting this feeling into words. I just felt... I don't know. As if something was drawing me to the Ashen Demon. I wonder, could it be the influence of my crest?
Your crest? Now I am truly becoming concerned.
Forget it. Whatever it means, we don't need to find out right away. We have a war to win first.
As you wish, Your Majesty. So long as you realize I will be taking the liberty to investigate this most thoroughly.
I thought you might say as much. Do as you must. Honestly, Hubert, you never change, do you? When I emerged from beneath the palace all those years ago, you acted as though nothing had happened. Do not worry, you said. I took the liberty to investigate while you were indisposed.
For the record, my blood was boiling. However, as there were others present, I kept still my tongue. I could not risk showing my anger, lest they find a way to turn it against you. My role to play is the cold, crafty, unreadable servant. I am happy with the casting, so let us leave it at that.
I'm certain you are, but just once I'd like to see our roles reversed.
Your Majesty, You cannot possibly be serious.
Not in the slightest. I'm well aware I am not cut out for the kind of work you do.
Nonsense. There is nothing beyond your capability. That said, I prefer you best when you are the one in charge. Command me as you see fit. No matter how daunting or impossible the task may be, I will come through every time without fail.
Thank you, Hubert. It's good to know that I can always rely on you. Ah, Ferdinand. I hadn't realized you'd returned to the palace.
Yes, here I am. Not that I have official business like you.
Then why come such a long way? Ah, I see. You're here to visit your father.
I am ashamed to say this was my first time seeing him in his cell. My father insisted I stay away for my own safety. Though I must confess, the dungeon was not the horrid place I had imagined it to be. I was envisioning, you know, fiery hot pokers, spikes, and that manner of thing.
Oh, then it may interest you to know that we do actually have such a dungeon. I've only seen it once myself. It's further down from where we're keeping the former Duke. It's a dismal place. One where rats scurry to and fro.
Rats? I do not imagine Father would cope well with that at all. While he did look haggard, it sounds as though his treatment could be far, far worse.
We're doing our best to keep him in good health. The rest will depend on his frame of mind.
Well, you will hear no complaints from me. I care only that he is kept alive and given a fair trial, and that his punishment fits the crime, of course.
You'd better speed things along then, because Hubert is quickly losing patience.
A fact of which I am very well aware. The problem is that I remain unable to connect my father to many of the acts he is accused of.
Perhaps you're wasting your time. A noble as powerful as your father could easily have documents forged and witnesses bought off. Any records that remain will be considered far too dubious to prove guilt or innocence.
Another fact I am very much aware of. In truth, I already found proof some time ago. Proof of his corruption, that is. I discovered it while looking through his tax records. When I realized what he had done, I was ready to serve him up to the authorities myself.
Your own father? I'm surprised to hear you say that.
I mean it. I thought I could carefully build a solid case against him while studying at the academy. However, you had him clapped in irons before I could have my case organized. Now there is a bit of comedy. I idolized my father ever since I was a child. Yet I had to push those feelings aside in order to muster the anger to punish him. Now I find myself trapped between both of those emotions with no resolution in sight.
I see. And tell me, is that the end of your story? I thought you were going to become Prime Minister, keep me in line, surpass me even.
Well, I did not mean...
You can still share words with your father and see him punished for his crimes, you know. So, if you desire resolution, start resolving matters. It's never too late. You're in better spirits than I expected. You look at least 2 shades less pale than you did after the battle at Fort Mercius.
Oh, but your majesty does enjoy telling it like it is. Would it be the end of you to show a little compassion? No. Then you would just be pitying me. I do not know which is worse. Regardless, I am well. Thank you for noticing. Ask of me what you will, and I shall see it done.
I don't need anything from you, Ferdinand, or at least not in that way. Just give me your usual effort, and that should be enough to get us through the upcoming battle.
You can count on me. Point me at a foe, and I will dispatch them with all haste. I cannot afford to die now, or my page in the history books will end in a most horrid fashion. Plagued by the guilt of striking down his father, Ferdinand welcomed the cold embrace of death on the battlefield, or some such hogwash. Yes, I killed my father, and I would be a liar if I said it did not wound me nearly beyond reckoning. But I will not hate myself for it. It was the correct choice. I did the right thing.
Well, don't feel too bad. Imagine what they would write about me if we lose this war. Despite her futile attempts to wrest power from the Prime Minister, the Emperor's people turned against her and her life ended in abject failure. The end. I know exactly what the world would say of me, which is why I have no intention of losing.
I will not permit such a thing to happen. If ever my life were to be weighed against yours, I would gladly perish in ignominy if it meant keeping you alive and well. What? Did I say something amusing?
No, it's just... You're so strong, so proud. If all the world's nobles were like you, there would be no need to dismantle the aristocracy. That's all. I know it's a futile thought.
Nothing is futile. Though even I must admit it seems to be so, given the circumstances. Still, you vastly underestimate the potential of the aristocracy. For generations, our ancestors worked hand in hand, sharing knowledge and wisdom to administer our great land and ensure it was well protected. They acquired knowledge of the region and developed good policies to rule it. And in doing so, they earned the trust of the people. We cannot throw away everything they have built. It would be folly.
Of course not. What do you take me for? I'm dismantling the aristocracy, not their legacy. The common folk will take up the torch and carry on.
Do you believe they are ready? No matter how gifted they may be, they are only commoners. In order to replace the nobility, they need to be educated. Wait a moment. I see your plan now. You intend to establish a school. One that is not merely for nobles and wealthy merchant children like the Officers' Academy once was. A school where anyone can enroll, regardless of wealth or standing, and get an education rivaling that of any noble.
Ferdinand? I cannot begin to guess where that idea sprung from, but this is exactly why I need you beside me as we shape the future of Adrestia.
You mean to say that you did not actually... So I was... Well, it is nice to be needed.
It seems I'm alone. Are you here, little one? Aw, were you waiting for me? Well, you're a good kitty, aren't you? Guess who brought you some fish? Hey, easy there. No need to wolf it down. Wow! Oh, you want more? Well, just stay put while I...
Edelgard? Oh, fascinating. I never imagined I'd run into you in a place like this.
Linhart, this is a surprise. What are you even doing here?
I was having a nap over there. Such is the price for pulling so many all-nighters, though I pay it gladly.
Over there, as in, right over there? Immediately so? Does that mean you saw... Ow!
Well, well, a cat. Does it live here?
How should I know? I've certainly never seen it before this very moment.
Really? Because it seems quite used to you.
Yes, it... Oh, come out with it already. If you have something to say, just speak and stop this interminable dance.
No. In fact, I like cats as well. Especially ones that live near people.
You, a cat person. I never thought I'd hear you say that.
Why not? I find them charming. You have to admire the way they draw people in with their cuteness only to be waited on hand and foot.
Linhart, people don't take care of cats just because they're cute. Cats rid us of rodents and other vermin. They are fine pets who bring much solace to their owners. As I see it, people and cats have a good relationship because we do things for each other.
Well, I wonder how the cats see it. Because it appears to me that they're just doing things their way and don't really care about anyone else. Now there's a charmed existence. Live as selfishly as you like and have people lavish you with praise and affection for it. Not to mention they'll never run out of food.
Which just shows how much people value them. What does it matter if they're being selfish? To be honest, I'm surprised you have an opinion about cats at all. Have you owned one previously? Because I could use your advice if so.
Please, do I look like the sort of person to take on that kind of responsibility?
You do not, hence my surprise.
Wait, now I get it. I was wondering why you were being so cross with me. You're thinking about keeping this cat. But the implication that cats and I both want to lead the same easy life spoils the idea for you.
What? I mean... Yes, that's it. You've caught me. Linhart, listen. If you aspire to be a pet, that is your decision and yours alone. However, if you expect people to bend over backward for you, the least you can do is work for it. The problem with you is that you always...
Please, Your Majesty, let's not do this now. Look, the kitty cat wants you to snuggle-wuggle.
I think that's enough for one day. You really know how to make me work up a sweat.
You kept me on my toes as well, Caspar. Thank you.
Hey now, you'll never have to twist my arm to get me to train. Just shout when you want to go again. Oh, and we should invite Raphael next time. The muscles on that guy are something else.
I'll keep that in mind. I often have trouble finding people to spar with.
No surprise there. Not like folks are lining up for a chance to knock the Emperor's teeth out.
You seem to have no problem coming after my teeth. Sometimes I think you're trying to kill me.
What? No, I mean, I only do it because I know you can handle it, right? Look, just don't say anything to Hubert, okay? If he finds out we're sparring, He'll have me cut into pieces and dumped into the nearest river for sure.
He already knows. I convinced him that I need the training if I'm to stand on the front lines.
Oh, that's a relief. So, why do you, by the way? Fight on the front lines, I mean. You're an incredible fighter, but the Empire would be in deep, deep trouble if anything happened to you. And it's not like you're after the glory like I am. Shouldn't you just hang back and send us orders from some distant hilltop? Seems like it goes pretty hard against that rationality thing you're always talking about.
Caspar? Lecturing me on what's sensible? I must be dreaming. But yes, you're right. It's not entirely rational.
See? I'm a thinking man sometimes.
That's not to say I don't have a rational reason. My presence on the front lines improves morale, and my skill betters our hope of victory. So long as I don't fall in battle, taking the field is the smartest thing I can do.
Right, sure. So, what's the unrational part?
The emotional side. I can't stand the idea of remaining safe, while friends and comrades alike risk their lives for our cause. You're all out there on my command, taking lives from others and giving your own in return. It doesn't seem fair for me to do any less.
Except that you're the Emperor.
And I say the Emperor should help.
Hey, I get it. You want to get in the dirt with the rest of us to pull your weight, right? You and me are the same in that way.
A dreadful suggestion, but I'll allow it.
Aw, come on. You should be happy. Here I thought we were completely different people, but it turns out there's a little Caspar in you after all. You know, I can't even imagine you lording over us from far away. You work best when you're down in the mud with the rest of us, sending chumps flying.
If there's a little Caspar in me, perhaps it's time to put a bit of someone else in you. Someone with manners, perhaps?
The M word? No thanks. You know all that politeness would only hold me back.
Wait, what?
Bernadetta, is that a letter from your mother?
Huh? Oh, Lady Edelgard. Yes, she wrote me from the capital. Wait, how did you know that? Are you screening my mail? Spying on my correspondence?
Bernadetta, is there anyone else who would write you?
Of course there is. There's, that guy? Wait, I don't have any friends. I don't even have any family. I don't have anybody. Poor Bernie's all alone in this cold, cruel world.
Easy, Bernadetta. You have plenty of friends. They simply don't need to write to you because you're fighting in the same army.
Wait, really? Well, that's a relief.
Also, how can you claim to have no family when your mother writes you regularly? That's certainly more than I can say.
Oh, right. I forgot about your, parent situation. Guess I shouldn't be complaining, huh?
It's fine. Just be thankful that your mother is in good health. And make sure to write back so she doesn't worry.
I always do. Pages and pages.
That reminds me, have you heard from your father? I'm sure he had much adjusting to do after I installed him in Garrick Mach as the head of the Southern Church.
Nothing from him, but my mother keeps me up to date in her letters. She has his attendance and her regular reports. last update was something like, your father is so scared of the Central Church's assassins, he's locked himself away up in the 3rd-story reception hall. They have to drag him out kicking and screaming whenever it's time to deal with clerical affairs.
I'm certain I heard a similar tale when another noble first relocated to Garrigmach.
Really? Huh. Oh, but the locking himself in his room part sure sounds a lot like me, doesn't it?
Yes, although you've come a long way from the reclusive, shy girl you used to be. Back at the Officers' Academy, you used to take your shunning of people to something of an extreme.
Do you really think I'm that different now? It's hard for me to tell. Maybe knowing that my father has started hiding from the world helps, though. Now I don't have to stay inside to avoid seeing him, you know?
One might say your curse has been lifted, just like mine.
Wait, hang on. What's your curse?
Nothing. Please ignore what I said.
Oh, come on! You can't leave me in suspense like this!
What is Talus plotting? Will the capital be all right? If another imposter... Who's there?
Lady Edelgard? Is that you?
Bernadetta? What are you doing here at this hour?
Oh, well, I was maybe sort of hoping to hole up here for a while. This is one of my go-to spots when I want to be alone.
In that case, I apologize for intruding.
Oh, it's really not a big deal or anything. Lady Edelgard? Is everything alright? You seem, well, kind of down. If something's bothering you, I'd be happy to listen. If you don't mind talking to me, I mean.
Thank you, but I wouldn't know where to begin. Once the Emperor starts rattling off her many woes, you're likely to be trapped here forever.
Actually, that isn't what I meant.
Then, what did you mean?
Do you remember that time you told me how my curse was lifted? And then you started to say that yours was too? Well, I've been worried that curse has been eating away at you the way mine did with me. Is that why you're here all alone in the middle of the night?
I wasn't expecting you to see right through me quite so easily. But you're right. Something is eating at me. There is an enemy I thought I'd fought and beaten, which I believed freed me from my curse. Alas, that was wishful thinking. My enemy is still alive. And worse yet, he is not alone.
That sounds terrible, but I know how that feels. I've been struggling too. If I stay outside too long, I end up being seized by this panic that makes me want to hide away again. I guess I'm still learning how to deal with it.
That's how life is, Bernadetta. We all bear our scars, but the only thing we can do is keep going. The idea that nestling up to someone and being kind will make all of their pain disappear is nothing more than fantasy. That's simply not how such things work.
It's a mean old world, that's for sure.
But that's no reason to despair. After all, what are we fighting for but a world in which people are no longer left with scars like yours and mine? A world in which the people who wish to stand out can do so, while those who remain on the sidelines have their choice honored as well. That is the future we're building together.
Do you really think we can do it? Because if you do, I'm going to fight right alongside you, and then celebrate by locking myself in my room.
I'd say that's perfectly acceptable, so long as you've taken care of the things you need to do.
Aww, but doing things is the hard part. Stop being so difficult, world. Interesting theory. I'll have to make a mental note of that.
Isn't it a bit late to be studying, Dorothea?
Hi there, Edie. Looks like I'm not the only one burning the midnight oil. You should get to bed. All-nighters are the bane of clear skin, you know.
I assume that also applies to you.
What can I say? You all work so hard, I figured I should dedicate myself to my studies. Especially when it comes to strategy and tactics. Those are real blind spots for me.
You would have had a chance to learn them if we'd remained at the Officers' Academy. I suppose you missed out on all sorts of experiences now that I think about it.
Edie, please.
No, wait. My decision and my actions are partly to blame for robbing you of those opportunities. I feel I owe you an apology for that.
You did what you thought was right. And anyway, it's not like any of us saw all these problems with the Kingdom and Alliance coming.
Yes, but...
Look, I admit I may have been a little sad when the Academy went on hiatus. I mean, I worked my tail off to get into that place. It was hard. Really hard. Oh, and when the school shut down, there went my best chance of finding Mr. Right. Or Miss.
I knew it was upsetting you. Dorothea, I am truly, deeply sorry.
Hold on, Edie. Let me finish. I was about to say that if we did stay at the Academy, you would have been terribly unhappy. You'd have had all this gloom and uncertainty hanging over you about your father and the future of the Empire. I think it might have broken you.
A slight exaggeration, wouldn't you say?
For what it's worth, I'm glad you're free of that torment and can now work towards building the world you envision. I like this new life working under you. It suits me.
Please don't say that. The part about you working under me, I mean. I like to think we work side by side and hand in hand. You are always a tremendous help to me. I consider you a dear friend, and I say that not just as the Emperor, but as a peer.
Thanks, Edie. Do you mind if I take that and run with it? Dorothea, dearest friend of the Emperor, has a really nice ring to it. I was fine with Dorothea the Mystical Songstress, but this new title has a real warmth and dignity thing going on.
In that case, allow me to meet you halfway. Henceforth, I shall be known as Emperor Edelgard, dearest friend of the Songstress.
Oh, no, that'll never do. Because if you do that, it would make me dearest friend of the Songstress.
Well, we certainly can't have that. How about you just promise not to be a stranger, Whatever the rest of the world demands, I want the two of us to always be there for each other.
I would like that very much indeed. Lady Edelgard?
I'm sorry, Petra. Am I interrupting?
It is okay. I will soon be finishing. I am offering prayers to the spirits, so they will be guiding us to victory in battle.
Is this how you pray in Bridget? In Fodlan, we usually save such things for a chapel.
Yes. In Brigid, we are offering our prayers to the forests, the mountains, the skies, anywhere the spirits are dwelling. In Fodlan, the people are offering their prayers to the goddess. In this, we are differing. But we are the same, in hoping to live long and fight for what has meaning.
Yes, of course. Perhaps I shouldn't ask this, but is it not unwise for you to be risking your life here in Fodlan? You are the queen of Brigid. Your people need you to return safely to them.
Yes, your words have truthfulness. If I am dying here on foreign soil, I am betraying my people. You gave me your promise to be releasing Brigid from its vassal relationship to the Empire. And if I die, your promise will be dying with me.
Yes, I suppose it would. If you died, I would have to renegotiate our terms with your successor. That wouldn't be an issue if she were as capable and reasonable as you. But would she be? And for the record, Petra, I don't want you to die. You are a dear friend.
Your words give me great happiness. But I am still content to be risking my life here in Fodlan.
As we get closer to cornering our enemies, there's no telling what kind of foul tricks they'll employ. Are you certain you don't wish to walk away from this? It could easily go awry after all.
I am knowing the danger, but I have done my deciding. I will not be turning my tail and running while you are standing and fighting.
I'm grateful, but unlike you, I cannot back down from this fight. This war is one of my own making.
And I am choosing to share it. If we lose, then we will lose. But I will not be having regrets. I will be fighting with you until the end of bitterness. That is the prayer I was offering.
Well, I'll do my best to avoid a bitter end. Regardless, you have my thanks, Petra. Your resolve humbles me, but also gives me strength.
You are the Emperor. I am the Queen. Our relationship is not one that is usual. Not everyone can be standing on equal feet with you. This is something only I can be doing. And so, I will continue standing by your side.
Let no one say the Queen of Brigid is not gracious and noble. But I do hope we never turn into a couple of stuffy royals who insist on doing everything by the book.
I have trust that you will never be letting that happen.
Ah, what a lovely breeze. Truly, there is nothing so liberating as the great outdoors.
Your Majesty, Hubert is looking for you. My apologies. I didn't realize you were resting.
I only stepped out for a bit of fresh air. I'll be ready to return shortly.
Oh no, please don't rush back on my account. I am more than happy to keep Hubert occupied in the meantime. Please, Your Majesty, enjoy yourself. I'll simply tell him I failed to find you. Ah, and are you cold? I can bring you a coat and some hot tea.
I appreciate the concern, Monica, but I'm quite all right. But while you're here, there is something I must tell you.
Why are you staring at me, Your Majesty? Is there something on my face?
I was only going to say how fortunate we are to have you with us. Those who slither in the dark had you in their clutches. In another world, we might have lost you to them forever.
Yes, it seemed they were only keeping me alive so they could use me for some kind of dark ritual. And I can only assume that would not have ended with me alive and well. You saved my life.
I wish I could express what an honor it was to be personally rescued by the woman I've dedicated my entire life to.
That's kind of you to say, but I only did it because I needed the military leverage.
That doesn't matter. I'm serious when I say that the day you rescued me was the day I stopped simply idolizing you and decided you were the one for me.
The one for you?
Yes, you risked your life to protect a lowly noble like me.
You need to understand the situation, Monica. I was fully prepared to sacrifice you if doing so would bring me even one step closer to achieving my goals. I had no intention of rescuing you until right before the opportunity presented itself.
Oh, but, why not?
I was under the impression that those who slither in the dark needed you quite badly. And as I required their strength to wage my war, I was prepared to look the other way. When we laid out our plans, your death was something we took as a given.
All the same, you still chose to save me in the end. I don't care how you got to that decision, only that you did. You could have offered me up as a bargaining chip, but you chose not to. Instead, you closed that door just so I could be standing here today.
Monica,
I only get one life, and I can't tell you how lucky I am to share it with you. It is my destiny to walk beside you, and that makes me happier than you could ever know.
well, thank you. That means a lot.
You must be exhausted, Your Majesty. I was beginning to believe that council would never end. Should I make tea?
Thank you, Monica. Why don't you join me?
Oh, I would love to.
I can hardly remember the last time I saw you rest. You need to stop overworking yourself. We can't afford for you to get sick.
Her Majesty has invited me to tea and she's worried about my health? Oh, this is the greatest day of my humble life.
Come now, I've always cared for your well-being, and it's not as if we never have tea together.
Oh, I'm aware. This is the 208th time you've worried about me and our 113th time sharing tea. I've been keeping a record on paper and in my head.
Now I'm even more concerned.
Aw, thanks.
I suppose it just shows how hard you work for me. I hope you feel I do enough in return. If there is anything you need, don't hesitate to ask.
Truly? You'd really listen to my request? Your Majesty is actually willing to make Monica von Ox's impossible wish come true?
Well, let's keep the wishes within the realm of the plausible, if you please.
All right. In that case, may I... Oh, this is so disrespectful. May I hold you in my embrace? Just for a minute?
I don't see why not.
What kindness! I promise to be even more loyal to you from now on, Your Majesty.
As if such a thing were possible, you've given me more loyalty than I could ever rightfully expect.
Oh, that reminds me. There is something I've been meaning to tell you. It seems as if you have been upset with yourself because you were planning to leave me for dead. But I just want you to know that had such events come to pass, I still would have died happy. I would have been at peace because I helped you achieve your vision. Well, I should go see to that tea.
She really is something else. I knew she was strong, yet she always finds new ways to surprise me. Thank you, Monica.
Ah, Edelgard. Perfect timing. Got a minute?
What is it, Balthus?
The little birdie told me Her Majesty is looking to hire a bodyguard.
I don't know where your birdie got its information, but yes, that's correct.
Well, that's great, because I know the perfect guy for the job. When it comes to strength, integrity, and loyalty, he gets top marks all around.
And let me guess, his name is Balthus.
Bingo! So hey, I bet an Emperor's bodyguard gets paid pretty well, yeah? I need the coin, and you need the protection. We both stand to come out on top here.
I see. Well, you will need to discuss the matter with Hubert first.
Believe me, I tried. That guy didn't even give me the time of day. He said, and I quote,
Why would I trust Her Majesty's safety to a walking pile of liabilities such as yourself? Ask me again once you've cleaned up your act, and do be sure to use a good soap.
so rude.
And what makes you think I won't tell you the same?
So, that's a no?
No, it's an absolutely not. You wish to safeguard my back, but Hubert has given me a full litany of reasons why I shouldn't trust you to protect any side of me at all. You were once the head of House Albrecht, yet now you are a vagabond. You also owe money to Gloucester and other houses, and have a bounty on your head, which is apparently the only part of you required to collect said bounty. And need I even delve into your family history?
Phew. Leave it to the minister of the imperial household to dig up every last ugly detail on a man.
Not every detail is ugly. We know you defeated Lord Holst at the tournament in Goneril, becoming the first and only person ever to do so. So, while people do not question your strength, they might hold you in higher regard if you manage to pull the rest of yourself together. Beginning with how you treat women.
Well, hold on there. I'm not about to pursue some dalliance with my boss. Especially when that boss is the Emperor. Even I have my limits.
I rather doubt that.
Well, there's only one way to prove me wrong. You're just gonna have to hire me.
You must truly think me a fool. How disappointing.
Hey, it was worth a try. But, alright, you win. I'll give up on the whole job search. Hey there, Your Majesty. Fresh off some new official business, huh? Don't you ever get a rest?
Yes. Thank you for your concern.
Huh? Why are you staring at... Hey, all right.
No, it isn't that. It most certainly is not that. I was just revising my opinion of you. Hubert made you out to be the greatest womanizer of our time, but you've been surprisingly well behaved.
I said I wouldn't hit on you, didn't I? Also, that could not sound more like Hubert. Anyway, you could have just taken my word for it.
I apologize for doubting you. Still, just because you haven't attempted to woo me doesn't guarantee you won't do so in the future.
Sure, but the thing is, you're not really my type. You're too smart and dainty and way too important. Wooing you would be like bringing a baguette to a sword fight. I know when I'm out of my league.
I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to take that.
Look, the only thing I want from you is a job. You pay well. And frankly, I could really use an army between me and the folks trying to kill me.
We have had to bolster the camp's defenses because of all the trouble you keep attracting. So, yes, thanks for that.
Hey, if it bothers you, let him through. I can watch my own back well enough. Save the cleverness and compassion for some other lunkhead.
I agree, my time could be better spent. Also, I'm not compassionate, merely hopelessly committed to my ideals.
Oh yeah?
I've set out to unite all of Bothan. I've started a war over it. That means destroying any who oppose me and protecting all who stand with me. If you believe in me and share my ideals, I will never abandon you. Even if you do happen to be a philandering hireling up to his neck in debt.
That was downright inspiring. Right up to the point where you insulted the stuffing out of me. But hey, if your thing is looking out for people, I'm happy to be a spare set of eyes. Plus, you're a boss worth swinging these fists for. I could shop around, but I doubt I'd find better.
And I will endeavor to keep it that way. But for now, I must be off. Oh, and Balthus? Join us at the next War Council.
Oh boy, that was close. It's like she was begging for me to make with the flirting. And if it wasn't for Hubert, I might even be stupid enough to try.
Now here's a rare sight. Since when do you read tactics manuals? Do you miss your days at the Officers' Academy?
There's nothing to miss.
No, because I seem to recall everyone being in awe of their incredibly talented combat professor. I had big plans for you after you were assigned to us, but then the Academy was forced to close its doors. Still, you played a small but critical role. Still not one for conversation, I see. Even so, I feel I understand you and your thoughts more now than when we first met. You see, that silence of yours just said, I don't need you to know me. Such a typical Emil thing to say.
Don't call me that.
Why? Because Emil von Bartels is dead? Because he was already hunted down and killed for slaughtering everyone in his house?
He should have been.
Is that so? Well, I disagree. This is why you live on as Yaritza von Hrim, and why you remain in good standing with a house that will one day be yours. This is why the world has the Death Knight. For my goals to be achieved, both men are indispensable.
You're greedy to desire that monster's power. His thirst is endless. Every soul he takes makes him less human.
If so, I'd say the Death Knight is the greedy one. I must watch my step, lest he and his scythe come for me in the night.
You are my master, for now. You let the Death Knight hunt. I am grateful. Your life is safe.
There's nothing to be grateful for. This is, and has always been, a contract that sees to both our needs. It just so happens I like having you, and the Death Knight, in my corner. Bored, are we?
Training is useless. Swords are for killing.
I can see why you'd find it vexing. To you, real battles are a source of sustenance. It's easy to forget how some people welcome this war, especially the Death Knight.
Without the war, I would just be killing someone less deserving. When it ends, our contract expires. Then I face my punishment.
You're still adamant about that? I agree that, circumstances aside, a crime like yours warrants some kind of punishment. But there are other ways to go about it. For example, you could atone for your sins by doing good in the world. Or is anything less than perdition off the table? It's not as if the members of House Bartels were completely innocent, after all.
That is what you want, not me. It is my future. I choose how I live and die.
Well, I'm sorry to hear you'll be leaving us, but I do respect your resolve. I'm pleased you're choosing to live and face the consequences, instead of taking the Craven's way out.
Let them lock me up. And if I'm ever forgiven, this is my path. If I die in a cell, so be it.
Well, whatever you seek for yourself, I hope you find it. I truly do. We all deserve to be the architects of our own lives. I believe that so fiercely that I started a war to remake the world under that ideal.
You did so much for me. I'm sorry it came to this.
Don't apologize. If anything, I'm grateful. Thank you, Emil. I mean, Yuritsa. Ah, so I won't get scolded for saying the wrong name? That's a step forward. Whatever you and I expect from tomorrow, we have to keep fighting for it. Are you with me?
I am.
You know, I don't believe I ever asked your feelings about this war. On the surface, it must seem as though we took Fodlan's fragile piece in our hand and shattered it into 1,000 pieces.
What, is it deep conversation time now? Where'd that come from?
It's merely that we've never discussed the matter, and you are in a fairly unique position amidst this all. I thought you might be able to provide some perspective on how an outsider views the actions Adrestia has taken.
The way I see it, you just did what you had to. You talk about peace, but it's not like people weren't already getting slaughtered for dumb reasons. I mean, pick your poison. If it's not greedy bandits ransacking your town, it's tyrannical nobles raising each other's land in search of more power. So, sure, people will die in the war, but the reforms it'll bring will save at least as many innocent citizens. Maybe even more.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
It's like you said, I'm in a unique position here.
Meaning you would have answered differently were you not a mercenary.
Yeah. If I was a farmer, for example, I'd be hounding you day and night to end the war. Sure, you say you're gonna bring this bright and beautiful future, but am I really gonna suffer for years, maybe even decades, waiting for it? The stuff you're doing now, enlisting my farmhands, trampling my fields, destroying my crops, just doesn't make it worth the wait. But you know the toll it's taking on your people, yet you choose to press on with the war anyway. So you've got to have a good reason, right?
Yes, of course. You certainly don't mince words. Is it the years of mercenary work that made you this way, or have you always been like this?
Pretty sure it's who I am. It was just me and my mom growing up, you see. We lived in a village, but for whatever reason, she liked to keep to herself. So, I guess it rubbed off on me. I learned pretty quick not to get attached.
Is that so? I would be interested to hear more.
Trust me, it's not as interesting as it sounds.
Who says it has to be? Interesting or not, I'll have you tell me one of these days.
If you say so, just promise not to freak out when you realize how boring I am, okay?
Do I seem like the type of person to freak out about such a thing? Perhaps don't answer that.
Oh, Edelgard. I'm glad I found you. Got a few?
Of course. What is it?
Well, remember how Hubert laid into me after the Knights of Seros raided Enbar? It got me thinking, what do I need to do for you to trust me again?
Nothing. Hubert and I stopped doubting you the moment that business was behind us. You worked tirelessly for me, and I'm grateful for that. So please, there's no need to worry.
Still, we have no idea when those who slither in the dark might try to interfere again. Honestly, it kind of feels like there's more I should be doing to help. Like I'm just floating around without a purpose or something.
Very well. What do you propose?
If I had to pick something, I'd say protecting you would be my top priority. Everyone's got a bone to pick with you, especially the church and those who slither in the dark. And they won't rest till they have your head. After all, the Imperial Army's not gonna lose if we've got you at the top handing down orders. And I figure Hubert will stay off my back as long as I put my energy into keeping you safe. Then you can lead us to victory, and we'll all live trustfully ever after.
Perhaps, but I think you're forgetting something. The only way to protect me is by staying at my side, and therein lies a conundrum. Allowing you that close to me would in itself be proof of my trust, without which you would have never earned such an opportunity in the first place.
I know that. Still, I can't help but feel like that's what I've got to do to prove myself to you. Please, Edelgard. Even if it just means shielding you from your enemies.
Very well. Do as you will. In the meanwhile, I'll tell Hubert... Well, I'm not entirely sure what I will tell him. At the very least, we know those who slither in the dark are able to shapeshift at will. So, in a way, it doesn't matter who I choose to surround myself with. They could just as well turn out to be someone wholly different.
Thanks, Edelgard. I honestly could have sworn you were gonna say no.
Of course. What I truly want to know is why you'd risk your life just to earn my trust.
Do you really have to ask? You reshaped my entire life. Before I met you, I had nobody. I was nobody. But you still chose me, of all people, to command one of your armies. Now, I can't walk down the street without people yelling my name. And I've got a great life, surrounded by amazing friends. All of it possible because of you.
That's not true. You would not have earned this post if you lacked the talent.
Maybe now, but before you came along, nobody in the Empire gave a Pegasus's backside about talent. You gave me a seat at the table when no one else would.
Ah, I see.
If you want proof you've changed the world, just take a look at me. Because this guy, he's a whole new person thanks to you.
Good news. We've dislodged another foothold those who slither in the dark held in Empire territory.
Good news? That's great! So, that soldier was one of theirs after all, huh?
He was. It's uncanny how you managed to identify their agents so precisely. Ordinary spies would be one thing, but these villains are another entirely.
I'd like to say it's just intuition, but there's more to it than that. It's my power. Their magic is almost identical to the one I use, so it's not hard for me to pick up on. I guess we have Hubert to thank for connecting the dots between the two.
How strange that you would hold such an important key. The more I look back, the more I realize, without you among our ranks, I may never have broken the stranglehold those who slither in the dark exerted on the Empire.
Me? What did I do?
Our hidden foe was deeply entrenched in almost every facet of the Dresdian society. The two were almost inseparable. And so I turned a blind eye to the lives that were being lost to their cruel designs, opting instead to focus my energy on preparing for war. But then you came along and helped show me a way to kill two snakes with one stone, as it were. You were the cog that was missing from the turnwheel, the one final push that urged me to act.
Right. Well, I'm not sure I can take credit for that, but I'm glad I could be there for you all the same. Really makes me wonder why you all didn't trust me, though.
Yes, I can see your point. It was my mistake. In any case, I'd like you to know just how pleased I am to have you fighting alongside us. You were a perfect stranger who owed nothing to the Empire. Yet you're still here. That means much.
It wasn't that big a deal. I just needed some gold, and figured if anyone was gonna have the coin to spare, it'd be the Empire.
You know, some things are best left unsaid.
Oh, and you were really quick to compliment me back at the Academy. That left an impression for sure. I mean, most nobles don't give us mercs the time of day. You were different.
It's nice to hear you say that.
And hey, I was right about you. I wouldn't be shining half as bright as I am today if I didn't hitch my wagon to yours. Trust me, no regrets here. Anyway, back to it. Victory is so close I can almost smell it. And I'll be right here by your side the rest of the way. No stopping till we've united all of Fodlan.
We will reach the end of this path soon. All of us. Together. You know, I don't believe I ever asked your feelings about this war. On the surface, it must seem as though we took Fodlan's fragile piece in our hand and shattered it into 1,000 pieces.
What? Is it deep conversation time now? Where'd that come from?
It's merely that we've never discussed the matter, and you are in a fairly unique position amidst this all. I thought you might be able to provide some perspective on how an outsider views the actions Adrestia has taken.
Honestly, I think the whole thing's one big, ugly mess. I mean, look at how many innocent lives it's costing us. Still, I know this wasn't just some spur-of-the-moment decision. You gave it a lot of thought, and this was the best path you could find forward. So who really cares what little old me has to say?
I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
It's like you said, I'm in a unique position here.
Meaning you would have answered differently were you not a mercenary.
Yeah. If I was a farmer, for example, I'd be hounding you day and night to end the war. Sure, you say you're gonna bring this bright and beautiful future, but am I really gonna suffer for years, maybe even decades, waiting for it? The stuff you're doing now, enlisting my farm hands, trampling my fields, destroying my crops, just doesn't make it worth the wait. But you know the toll it's taking on your people, yet you choose to press on with the war anyway. So you've got to have a good reason, right?
Yes, of course. You certainly don't mince words. Is it the years of mercenary work that made you this way, or have you always been like this?
Yeah, I think it just kind of comes with the territory. I've been at this a long time, and lost more than my fair share of friends over the years. Not to mention all the horrible things I've done just for a fistful of gold.
Is that so? I would be interested to hear more.
Trust me, it's not as interesting as it sounds.
Who says it has to be? Interesting or not, I'll have you tell me one of these days.
If you say so, just promise not to freak out when you realize how boring I am, okay?
Do I seem like the type of person to freak out about such a thing? Perhaps don't answer that.
Oh, Edelgard. I'm glad I found you. Got a few?
Of course. What is it?
Well, remember how Hubert laid into me after the Knights of Saros raided Enbar? It got me thinking. What do I need to do for you to trust me again?
Nothing. Hubert and I stopped doubting you the moment that business was behind us. You worked tirelessly for me, and I'm grateful for that. So please, there's no need to worry.
Still, we have no idea when those who slither in the dark might try to interfere again. Honestly, it kind of feels like there's more I should be doing to help. Like I'm just floating around without a purpose or something.
Very well. What do you propose?
If I had to pick something, I'd say protecting you would be my top priority. Everyone's got a bone to pick with you, especially the Church and those who slither in the dark, and they won't rest till they have your head. After all, the Imperial Army's not gonna lose if we've got you at the top handing down orders. And I figure Hubert'll stay off my back as long as I put my energy into keeping you safe. Then you can lead us to victory, and we'll all live trustfully ever after.
Perhaps, but I think you're forgetting something. The only way to protect me is by staying at my side, and therein lies a conundrum. Allowing you that close to me would in itself be proof of my trust, without which you would have never earned such an opportunity in the first place.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Still, I can't help but feel like that's what I've got to do to prove myself to you. Please, Edelgard, even if it just means shielding you from your enemies.
Very well. Do as you will. In the meanwhile, I'll tell Hubert... Well, I'm not entirely sure what I will tell him. At the very least, we know those who slither in the dark are able to shapeshift at will. So, in a way, it doesn't matter who I choose to surround myself with. They could just as well turn out to be someone wholly different.
Wait, are you sure? I know I'm the one who asked and all, but... Really?
Of course. What I truly want to know is why you'd risk your life just to earn my trust.
Do you really have to ask? You reshaped my entire life. Before I met you, I had nobody. I was nobody. But you still chose me of all people to command one of your armies. Now I can't walk down the street without people yelling my name, and I've got a great life surrounded by amazing friends. All of it possible because of you.
That's not true. You would not have earned this post if you lacked the talent.
Maybe now, but before you came along, nobody in the Empire gave a Pegasus's backside about talent. You gave me a seat at the table when no one else would.
Ah, I see.
If you want proof you've changed the world, just take a look at me. Because this gal, she's a whole new person thanks to you.
Good news. We've dislodged another foothold those who slither in the dark held in Empire territory.
Good news? That's great! So that soldier was one of theirs after all, huh?
He was. It's uncanny how you managed to identify their agents so precisely. Ordinary spies would be one thing, but these villains are another entirely.
I'd like to say it's just intuition, but there's more to it than that. It's my power. Their magic is almost identical to the one I use, so it's not hard for me to pick up on. Guess we have Hubert to thank for connecting the dots between the two.
How strange that you would hold such an important key. The more I look back, the more I realize... Without you among our ranks, I may never have broken the stranglehold those who slither in the dark exerted on the Empire.
Me? What did I do?
Our hidden foe was deeply entrenched in almost every facet of Adrestian society. The two were almost inseparable. And so I turned a blind eye to the lives that were being lost to their cruel designs, opting instead to focus my energy on preparing for war. But then you came along and helped show me a way to kill two snakes with one stone, as it were. You were the cog that was missing from the turnwheel, the one final push that urged me to act.
Yeah, sure. Whatever that means. You can be so confusing sometimes, you know that?
Forgive me. You may be the only person I know who would look an emperor in the eye and speak their mind so freely.
I don't know. I could totally see Ferdinand doing it too.
Yes, I can see your point. It was my mistake. In any case, I'd like you to know just how pleased I am to have you fighting alongside us. You were a perfect stranger who owed nothing to the Empire, yet you're still here. That means much.
It wasn't that big a deal. I just needed some gold and figured if anyone was gonna have the coin to spare, it'd be the Empire.
You know, some things are best left unsaid.
Oh, and you were really quick to compliment me back at the academy. That left an impression for sure. I mean, most nobles don't give us mercs the time of day. But you were different.
It's nice to hear you say that.
And hey, I was right about you. I wouldn't be shining half as bright as I am today if I didn't hitch my wagon to yours. Trust me, no regrets here. Anyway, we flushed those who slither in the dark out of another one of their hiding spots. Which seems like cause for celebration, if you ask me. You, remember how to do it? I don't want to get left hanging like I did back in Enbar.
That wasn't my fault. I had simply never done it before. We will reach the end of this path soon. All of us. Together.